You stepped outside this morning, and they were gone before you reached the feeder. Not because something frightened them, not because you moved too fast or made a sound, just because you appeared, and the yard emptied. Most people assume that is just how birds are, wild, skittish, permanently on the edge of leaving, and they accept it. They fill the feeder, they watch from the window, and they never ask why some yards are different. Why some people walk outside and the birds barely look up. Why some feeders stay busy when a human is standing 3 feet away. The difference is not the feeder. It is not the seed. It is not the yard.
It is time. And it is information. And once you understand how birds actually build trust with a specific human, you will never look at a flushing bird the same way again. Welcome back to Birds Actually. Subscribe before you leave, because what we cover today will change the way you understand every morning you have ever spent in your yard. We are going through the exact stages a wild bird moves through before it trusts a specific person. How long each stage actually takes, what speeds it up, what resets it. And stay until the end, because the final stage is the one most people never reach, and it is the one that explains everything. Stage 1. The bird does not know you exist. Every bird that visits your yard for the first time arrives carrying a default setting: maximum wariness. Any large moving object within a certain distance triggers an immediate response. Flush and reassess from a safe position. It is not personal. You are not being rejected. You are simply an unclassified object in the environment.
Researchers call this the flight initiation distance, the measurable gap between a bird and a potential threat at the moment the bird decides to leave. For most small backyard birds encountering an unfamiliar human, that distance sits between 15 and 30 feet. You do not need to lunge at them. You do not need to make a sound. You simply need to exist within that radius, and the decision is already made. What this means for your yard is this: every new bird that finds your feeder is starting from 0. It does not know you. It has no record of you. You are large, you move unpredictably, and you are unclassified. This stage lasts as long as you remain unclassified. And most people stay unclassified forever, because they never do the one thing that moves a bird to stage 2. Stage 2. The bird begins to file you. Here is where most people do not realize something is happening, because it looks like nothing. The bird comes back. It flushes when you appear. It comes back again, flushes again. You assume it is the same interaction repeating. It is not.
Each time a bird encounters you and survives the encounter, meaning you appeared, you did not attack, and the bird flew to safety and returned, it is adding a data point. Researchers studying urban bird habituation have found that birds exposed to the same non-threatening human repeatedly begin measurably reducing their flight initiation distance within 5 to 7 days. Not dramatically, a foot, 2 feet, sometimes less, but the reduction is real, it is consistent, and it is specific to you. Not to all humans, to you. Your birds are building a file. Every morning you appear at the feeder, every time you move slowly across the yard, every time you exist in their space without incident, another data point is added. The file grows. The flight initiation distance shrinks. What this means for your yard is this: the birds that flush when you appear are not rejecting you. They are gathering information about you.
and they are closer to trusting you than you think if you give them consistent data to work with.
Stage 3. The distance starts to close. This is the stage most people do not notice until it has already happened. You step outside one morning, and the cardinal does not leave the feeder. It looks at you. It shifts its weight. It stays. And you freeze, not wanting to break it. That moment did not happen overnight. It happened across dozens of mornings of consistent, non-threatening presence. Research from the University of Exeter found that birds in residential gardens with regular, predictable human activity reduced their alarm responses to those specific humans significantly faster than birds in yards with irregular or unpredictable human presence. Consistency is the variable, not stillness, not silence. Consistency.
Your birds do not need you to be motionless. They need you to be readable. They need to know what you are going to do next, because you always do the same thing. You come outside at the same time. You move at the same pace. You go to the feeder the same way. You become a known quantity, and known quantities do not trigger alarm calls. What this means for your yard is this. The single most powerful thing you can do to accelerate trust is to become boring, predictable, a regular feature of the morning that carries no new information. Once your birds stop generating alarm calls when you appear, you have crossed from stage 3 into something different entirely. Stage 4. You become part of the yard.
There is a specific moment, and you will know it when it happens, where you step outside and the yard simply continues. The chickadee keeps moving through the branches. The nuthatch keeps working the bark. The juncos keep foraging on the ground. Nobody pauses. Nobody recalibrates. The yard absorbs your arrival the way it absorbs a cloud moving across the sun. You are noted. You are filed. You are not a threat event. This is not the same as being ignored. The birds know you are there. Research into contact calling, the soft, low, ongoing sounds birds make when nothing is wrong, shows that familiar humans in a yard produce more contact calling and fewer alarm calls than unfamiliar ones. The yard is not going quiet when you appear. The yard is talking more softly, because nothing worth alarming about has occurred.
How long does it take to reach this stage? Studies suggest the baseline timeline sits between 3 and 8 weeks of consistent daily presence for most common backyard species. Chickadees and titmice habituate faster. Cardinals and robins take longer. But the timeline compresses significantly with 3 specific behaviors: low, slow movement, consistent timing, and positioning yourself near the feeder without approaching it directly. What this means for your yard is this: you are not waiting for your birds to accept you. You are giving them information, consistently, patiently, every morning, and the yard is keeping score in ways you cannot see. Stage 5. The yard holds when you are close.
This is the stage most people never reach. Not because it requires anything extraordinary, because they stop at stage 4 without knowing there was a stage 5. A bird that has classified you as safe has a new flight initiation distance. Not 30 feet, not 15. Research documents cases of full habituation in backyard birds,
where the flight initiation distance has reduced to under 3 feet for a specific familiar individual. Under 3 feet, the length of your arm. You do not train a bird to reach this stage. You inform one. Every morning that you have appeared, behaved consistently, and left without incident has been a lesson. The lesson is always the same. You are known. You are readable. You are not dangerous. And the bird has been listening to every single one.
The yard you stepped into this morning, the one that emptied when you appeared, is not a yard that has decided against you. It is a yard that does not have enough data yet. Give it the same data, every morning, in the same way, and one day you will walk outside and the cardinal will not move. The chickadee will look at you from 3 feet away and look away again, and the yard will simply continue. That is not luck. That is not a particularly friendly bird. That is the end of a process that began the first morning you filled the feeder, and it has been building ever since. Tell me in the comments, is there one bird in your yard that already holds its ground when you appear? One that seems closer to you than the rest? I want to hear about it. I read every one. I will see you in the next one.